Hey guys, in this video I am going to show you how I created these black and gold nails with lots of bling and these pretty little Swarovski skulls. And here is a picture of the products that we are going to be using today. We're going to use a lot of CJP and a lot of Swarovski crystals. So we have already prepped these nails. We have pushed back the cuticles and we have removed any shine. Next we are going to brush off any excess dust with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and a brush. We are going to dehydrate all of these nails and then we are going to start forming our first nail. We're going to do as we always do. We're going to take the tab out of the middle of the form and we're going to place it on the back. We're going to pinch our two butterfly ends of the form and then we are going to snip these two little cuts down the sides of the form where the free edge meets our form. Then we will position it where we need it to be. We will secure it to the back of the fingers and we will squeeze it into shape and make sure everything is nice and stuck down and that there are no gaps. We're going to pop our primer on and then we are going to come in with a little bit of clear acrylic. We are going to cover that nail bed and we are going to sculpt out a very, very thin platform for us to build our nail on. Next we are coming in with a little bead of 18 karat gold from CJP. We are going to blend it up onto that nail bed and we are going to pattern press it down into the shape of the nail that we are aiming for. We're going for a nice long stiletto, quite a soft stiletto. We don't want it super pointy. We're just going to come in with a little bit more of that gold where we need it to be, just to make sure that this free edge is nice and opaque and that it's all nice and gold. Then what we will do next is we will take a little bead of peach sorbet from CJP. This is one of my favourite cover powders from CJP. And we're going to do as we would do when creating a baby boomer. We're going to place it at the cuticle and we are going to feather it down over our gold and we're just going to make a nice little blend on there. And then we are going to take some of these really pretty little gold mylar pieces. These are from Nail Nails. My client did bring these in with her today and I was like, yes, I want to use them. And so here they are. We're just picking them up with a little bead of clear acrylic and then we are dabbing them onto the nail where we want them to be. We just want to give it an extra little bit of sparkle, and then when we are happy with our pretty gold nail, we're going to come in with a big bead of clear acrylic. We're going to place it down at the cuticle and then we are going to pattern press it into place. We're going to make sure everything is nice and flush down those side walls and around that cuticle. We're going to make sure our apex is in place, and then if you need to add a little bit more acrylic you can do that. We want to make sure that our glitter is all well and truly capped inside this nail, so we'll just place a little bit more at that free edge and feather it back, make sure our nail is nice and shaped properly. Then we are going to come in and we're going to start forming our next nail. We're going to do what we always do. We're going to pre-pinch those little butterfly tabs at the bottom of the form. We're going to measure it up to the finger and we're going to cut those two little sides where that natural nail meets our form, and we are going to position our form where we would like it to be. Once our form is in place, we are going to come in with our primer and we're going to prime this nail, and then we are going to jump back over onto that little pinky finger. We're going to give it a little pinch and we're going to leave our pinching tool on there for a couple of minutes. Now we're going to come back in with our clear acrylic, our crystal glass, and we are going to sculpt out another little platform on this nail, and we're going to pattern press it out into the shape that we are aiming for. We're going to make sure that that clear acrylic meets that natural nail so that everything is nice and flush and nice and tidy, and that we have a nice platform to work from. Next we are going to come back in with our peach sorbet. We're just going to use this to cover that natural nail and just give it a nice peachy, healthy kind of glow. And then we are going to start creating our little triangle at the bottom of this nail. We're going to take our 18 karat gold again and we're just going to make a little triangle right on the bottom of this nail. This is just to give the tip of this nail a little bit of colour. We're just making it into a triangle shape. It doesn't need to be thick, but it doesn't need to be super thin either. This is just the tip of our nail. We are going to put something in the middle of this nail. We are going to come on to forming our next nail now. We're going to do our same routine as we always do with our forms. We're going to put our 2 little cuts down the sides. We're going to make sure everything is nice and flush, nice and tight, and we're going to make sure that form is nice and secured onto our finger. Coming back to our ring finger now, we have let everything set a little bit. We're just going to give it a little pinch so that we know that everything is nice and slender before we move on to our next step. We're going to take quite a big bead of our clear acrylic and we are going to pat it down over the entire middle of this nail, right down to that tip that we've created. This does need to be a little bit thicker than you would do normally, but it doesn't need to be super thick. We're going to take some netting and we're just going to dip it into our clear acrylic so that it doesn't stick. We are not going to leave this netting in here, we are going to just imprint in it. So this acrylic does not need to be set. If it's set, your netting won't go in it, but if your acrylic is still too wet, it will just go. And once you have got your imprint in there, we're going to gently wiggle that netting out of our acrylic. We're going to take some very wet beads of our black acrylic and we are just going to push them into those imprints that we've created. We're just going to fill all of those gaps. We're going to wipe it away off the top because we don't want an entire black nail. We're just going to put a little bit of black on that join there, and then to cover our join we are going to come back in with our gold mylar. We're going to add it over all of those joins just so that everything looks like it flows together. I'm going to use a little bit of 18 karat gold as well just to make those colours really pop. And then when we are happy with the design that we've got on this nail, we're going to come back in with our clear acrylic and we are going to cap everything. And coming back to our middle nail again, we are going to apply our 1 coat of primer, and then we are going to come in with our bead of clear acrylic and we are going to start sculpting out a nice little platform for this nail. And once we are happy with our little platform, we're going to come back and check our other nail. We're going to give it a little pinch, give it a little squeeze with our fingers, and then we are going to give the platform that we have just sculpted a little squeeze as well, just to make sure that everything is nice and flush and nice and slender before we start moving on to our next bit. We are going to take some more peach sorbet and we are just going to create a little smile line here. We're just going to place the bead at the cuticle and then pat it down into the shape that we want it to be. We're going to use our brush to push back those smile lines and make them all nice and smiley, and then we are going to start creating our little lip for our next colour to put up to. And just while I'm waiting for this smile line to dry a little bit, I'm going to come in and remove those forms just so that I've got something to do while I'm waiting for it to dry a little bit, and then I am going to add a little bit more peach sorbet where I feel I need it. as we come to forming this next nail, while we're measuring it up, we can see that it is not going to fit comfortably. So we are just going to take our little nail scissors and we're going to cut a little semicircle out of the middle of that form just so it fits nice and flush to that natural nail. We're going to measure it back up, we're going to place our 2 little cuts under the side, and we're going to make sure that everything is nice and secure in that form. We don't want any gaps anywhere. We're going to make sure everything is nice and tight and nice and flush and nice and secure to that finger. Now, coming back to our nail with the smile line, we're just going to give that nail bed a little bit of a pinch so that we can make sure the top of that nail is nice and slender. And then through the tip of this nail, we're going to take our 18 karat gold, we're going to place it right down at the tip of that nail, and we're going to feather it back into the body of that free edge. We're not going to butt this right up to that smile line. We're going to use black to outline our smile line, just to give it a little bit of sharpness and a little bit of black in that smile line. And then when we are happy with where we've placed our black and where we've placed our gold, we're going to come back in with some more of those pretty little gold mylar flakes, and we're just going to add a few of those to make it extra sparkly. Once you are happy with the design inside this nail, we're going to take a bead of clear acrylic and we're going to put it right on that smile line. We're going to make sure we cap everything in the tip of this nail so that we don't file through anything. We have already created most of our apex with our pink acrylic when we did our smile line, so now we are concentrating mostly on capping this free edge, making sure there are no gaps in between our smile line and our acrylic. We're just making it a nice shape, making sure that we've got our structure in there. And moving back onto our next nail, we're going to apply our 1 coat of primer, and then we are going to start sculpting out our platform as we always do. We're going to make sure that this platform is completely connected to this natural nail. We're going to pattern press it into shape, and then we are going to move on. And then again, coming in with our peach sorbet, we're going to place our little bead at the cuticle. We're going to make sure everything is nice and flush around the cuticle, and we're just going to feather it down. We're not creating any height with this, we're just using this for colour again, because we're going to start creating a little bit of marble on this nail. So for this marble, what we are going to do is we're going to take quite a wet bead of clear acrylic and then a very little bead of black acrylic, and we are just going to swirl those down together. I prefer to place my beads separately because I don't really want to dip my clear into my black powder because it just goes grey. So we're just making sure that we don't play with it too much. You just swirl it around until you're happy with what it looks like, and then just keep building up your marble. Again, just a bead of clear acrylic and then a tiny little bead of black acrylic, and then swirl those two together. And then we will, when we need to, we will place a few little beads of our gold acrylic and just accent those black lines. We're just making a very simple little marble with a little bit of clear because we do want this nail to still be a little bit clear. We don't want it totally black. Once we're happy with our marble, we're just going to take a little bit of clear acrylic and just add a few little pieces of that mylar just to give it an extra little pop, an extra little sparkle, and then we're going to come in and cap this nail. I have capped this nail from halfway down first because I wanted to make sure that I filled any of those gaps that might have been left in that marble, and then we're going to come in with our cuticle bead and we're going to create our apex on the back third of this nail. Once everything is capped, we're going to come back to our thumb. We're going to form it as we do all of our other nails. We're going to pinch those 2 butterfly tabs and make sure it's nice and secure onto that nail. We're going to place our 2 little cuts, and then here I did do a little bit of tailoring as well. It just wasn't fitting quite right on that side, so I just snipped a little bit of that out. I'm not sure if I recorded that, but oh yeah, here we did. We're just going to snip a little bit off that side just so that this form fits nicely and so that it will fit straight on this nail. Once we've formed our thumb, we're going to come back to that first finger and we're going to give it a pinch. We're going to leave that on there for a couple of minutes and we're going to give it a nice squeeze with our fingers, and then we are just going to start taking our forms off, and then we will come back to our thumb. We're going to apply our 1 coat of primer, and then we are going to start again by sculpting out our little platform, very thin, nice and smooth. We're just going to sculpt that out to the length that we want it to be, and we are just going to cover this nail bed with a little bit of clear acrylic as well. Once we've got our clear platform already, we're going to come in with our black acrylic and we are going to just fade this back onto that natural nail, back onto that nail bed, and then we are going to press it down into shape. This, I maybe could have done this a little bit wetter. This does not need to be thick, this is purely just for colour. Black is a very pigmented colour and it is quite difficult to use, but we managed, everything was fine, and we're just going to create the bottom end of our baby boomer but in black, and then we will come in with our cover pink, we'll come in with our peach sorbet, and we will start creating a baby boomer here. Well, the same as we do with any other fade, we're going to place that bead at the cuticle, we're going to make it nice and flush, and then we are going to start feathering it down. We are going to keep adding more nude acrylic where we need it to be, just so that we can cover that black at the top of there, and then we will add some glitter over our blend just to make it flow a bit more seamlessly. And once again, once we are happy with our design, we are going to come in with our clear acrylic and we are going to cap this nail. We're going to make sure our apex is in place and that all of that glitter and all of that colour is nicely capped inside that clear acrylic. We're going to let this nail start to set a little bit, and then we're going to give it a good pinch. We're going to make sure that everything is nice and slim, nice and slender. We're going to pinch it with our fingers, and then we are going to come on to filing our nails. We are going to start with our everyday filing routine. We are going to file our free edge and our side walls. Everything we do to one side of the nail, we are going to do the other. We are going to come straight up and down when we file those side walls, straight up into that nail. We want everything to be symmetrical on both sides. We want everything to be the right shape, and once we have shaped these nails, we are just going to quickly whiz over them with our e-file just to take any excess bulk, and then we will come back in with our hand file. Here I am using a coarse safety bit from Chrissy Pierce's nail supplies shop. We're going to come right around those cuticles and make sure everything is nice and flush, and then we will come down the sides and down the barrel of this nail just to take off any excess bulk. We're not doing the majority of our shaping here, we are just taking away acrylic that we don't need and making sure everything is nice and flush. So again, around those cuticles, down those side walls, and we're going to come right through the barrel of this nail. Now, once we have e-filed everything, we're going to come back in with our 150 grit file. We are going to file over this entire nail and make sure that we have no major imperfections. We're going to file around those cuticles. We're going to make sure our apex is in place and that our nail tapers down into a nice thin tip. We're going to come around those cuticles and down the barrel of that nail, just making sure that everything is nice and flush and everything is the shape it needs to be. Then once we have finished filing, we are going to come in with a 240 buffer and we are going to just buff over these nails and make them super smooth, and then we will remove our dust. Now, here are all the crystals that we are going to be using. We have a mixed bag of blacks and silvers in small sizes and some light topaz. We've got these little skulls and we've got some pretty little roses from Angel Glitter Mats. So we're going to use a big selection of Swarovski crystals. We're going to decide where we want to put our skulls, and we are going to start with our biggest pieces. We're going to take a very small bead of clear acrylic and we're going to use that to adhere our big stone. If you need to take some acrylic away from the side of that, you can do so now. We want him to be nice and secure and we don't want any major gaps. And then we are going to keep applying small beads of acrylic and placing our roses just to accent our little skull. We're going to make him sit in a little bed of roses and in a lot of crystals. So for our bigger pieces, our 3D pieces, we are just going to keep securing those with acrylic. We will hold them until they've set a little bit so that we know they're not going to move. And then while that acrylic sets on one nail, I am going to move on to the other nail on the other hand and secure my bigger pieces. We're going to do the same again. We're going to decide where we want our little man to go. Then we're going to take a little bead of acrylic, we're going to place it where it needs to be, and we are going to pop our little skull on there. We're going to make sure he's nice and secure and nice and comfy and that he's sitting where we want him to be sat. And then we're going to place a little rose just next to him again. Now, I would normally use a long pair of tweezers to play with these roses, but mine seem to have walked away from me and I don't know where they've gone, so I am just using my fingers to pick up these roses, and they are a little bit fiddly, but we got them on, we got them nice and stuck, and then we are going to move on to embedding our crystals, skulls, in a lot of little crystals. Where we want our crystals to be, we're just going to take a little bit of nail glue and we are going to start applying our crystals. We're just going to use a mix of colours and a mix of sizes. We're just going to make it cascade down this nail because we do have some detail in that gold that we don't want to cover up completely. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to keep adding a little bit of glue and picking up our crystals and just placing them where we want them to be. We do want to make sure we fill a lot of those gaps around those bigger pieces just so that they don't get caught on anything. We wouldn't want them popping off anywhere. And so we're just going to keep using our crystal tanto, and we are going to keep applying a little bit more glue and just adding crystals where we want them to be. Now we have put the majority of our crystals up around the top of that nail. We've made sure we've filled up all of that cuticle area, and as we get closer towards the bottom of this nail, we are going to spread our crystals out a bit further so that we don't lose that detail in that background. We're just going to make sure that we have no extra gaps, and if you see a gap that you want to be filled, just go ahead and pop a crystal in where it needs to be. We're not going to fill this nail completely because we have got a background that we don't want to cover up completely, and we're just going to keep looking at it and keep having a look at how shiny it is. When we are happy, we're going to come back to our next nail. On our other nail, we're going to fill more of this nail than we did on the last one. We're going to fill the majority of this nail really. I'm just going to pop another little bead of acrylic there and just pop up another little rose because they're really pretty and we really like them. And then we're going to move on again to fill in the back of this nail behind this skull with crystals. We're going to make sure everything is set inside those stones. We're going to make sure that there's no major gaps. We wouldn't want any big gaps really, and we're just going to keep applying little bits of glue, keep applying crystals where we want them, and then we're going to carry on until we have filled this entire nail. Now we're just having a good look at these nails. We're going to make sure that we've got crystals everywhere we want them. They're just so pretty. I'm really happy with these. I love crystallizing things. And so once you are happy with your crystal placements, we are going to let that glue dry a little bit, and we're going to come in with our top coat and top coat the rest of our nails that don't have crystals on. And then once everything is top coated, we're going to top coat the underneath of any of these see-through nails, and then we are going to pop those into our lamp and we are going to cure them for 1 minute. Now to secure all of our crystals into these nails, we're just going to use the back of one of these crystal trays and we're going to decant a little bit of top coat onto those. We're going to use, I think this is a 0 short brush from Crystal Nails, and we're just going to take really small beads of top coat, and we're just going to make sure that we top coat around every single one of these crystals. We're going to make sure we drop a little bit of top coat into all of those gaps. And my client then did request that she had her roses shiny, so we have done that. We've just used a little bit of top coat and we've just top coated over the top of those roses. You really don't need to use a lot, otherwise you'll end up filling the holes, but we're just going to make them a little bit shiny. Make sure all of these crystals are secured inside some top coat. We don't want to top coat over our Swarovski crystals, otherwise they will go dull, so we are just top coating around any of those gaps, around all the sides of those crystals, and then we're going to pop them into the lamp and we're going to cure them. And as always, once our top coat has cooled, we are going to finish off these nails with a little bit of cuticle oil. We're going to massage that into the skin and those nails, and we're going to have a good look at just how sparkly these nails are. I have really enjoyed creating these nails. I think they're absolutely beautiful. I love all of the crystals. Everything is so pretty, and I hope you guys have all enjoyed this too. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see any more videos, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!